Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Dark Art Society podcast. I'm your host, Chet. I'm here with Tater. And anyway, today's guest is Gabe Leonard. We're doing another in the ongoing Art Life series. Well, it wasn't planned that way, but basically we get together every so often and talk about what it's like to be an artist living in the world. And it was a good conversation. We had some really interesting philosophical discussions about, living and working as an artist. And I think it's a good one. I think it's a really good one. Anyway, so yeah, that's been what's been going what's been going on with me is I usually give my little intro here about what I've been doing. And I've been just playing catch up still playing catch up. Got some orders to do and getting those down, knocking them down, getting ready for the mystery boxes because those are going to go on sale soon. And hopefully I can sell a bunch of them. That's pretty much it. It's all just kind of planning it, catching up with things so I can deal with the holiday season because it's usually a busy time for my website. So that's it. If you want to support this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/darkartsociety and join for as little as $1. Now, I was just talking about in the podcast how this theory that you don't need millions and millions of followers to make a decent living. You can do it with 1,000 followers, and because of the internet. We go into this a little bit more in depth, but if everyone listening could pitch in $1, that would make a really huge difference for me and be very helpful. I know that people really enjoy this podcast, and I want to keep bringing it to you. So it would be helpful to get some more resources behind it so I can afford to do it. So if you can, go to patreon.com/darkartsociety. You can also join as a free member just to kind of get your foot in the door and see if you are even like the Patreon platform. But if you join at the $5 and above level, you get a coupon, 20% discount code for Skull Shop. This is a Skull Shop skull. You can see my granddaughter dropped it and broke one of the teeth, but it still kind of works. Anyway, amazing skulls. Skull Shop, SKULLSHOPPE.com. If you want to see what's going on in my world, you can go to patreon.com/ChetZar, and I'm posting everything I work on just about every day if I'm working. Some days I'm not working, but generally I post what I've painted throughout the day or whatever I'm working on, plus time lapses. I've got a ton of time lapses from my last show about to go that I'm just editing right now. So lots of good stuff on there. Great community too. And I think that's it. Let me think. Yeah, no new subscribers. You get your name read on the air if you subscribe. But we haven't had any new ones this week. I guess that's it. This is a little bit of a shorter episode. I'm playing around with the format a bit, keeping it a little shorter, seeing if that helps. I don't know. People might like it shorter. Sometimes I wonder if we go on too long. I'm always open to hearing suggestions as well in the comments. I never ask for that, but I also never ask to please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe because it helps with the algorithm. And if you have any comments, if you want to see more of some certain types of things, certain types of artists or different ideas, I'd love to hear from you. So send me a comment or write a comment below and or send me an email or whatever. Okay. That's it. Let's get on with it. Here we go with Gabe Leonard talking about the art life. Hope you enjoy it. Hi, Gabe.
Hi, Chet.
Mr. Fancy Camera Moves.
Fancy camera moves. Look at this.
Gabe's so successful that he hires a full-time camera operator to follow him around everywhere.
Finally a use for AI.
Yes. Yeah, right. Okay, so Gabe's got this AI camera that follows him
It's not an
around.
AI camera, is it?
Yeah, isn't it? It's a video
It's just
camera.
it's got a face tracking feature, so it follows me around whatever I'm doing.
Yeah. So he's testing it out here, and we're trying it out. Just having an art life discussion.
Art life, right?
Yep. It should be a new feature of the podcast. Little secondary podcast, the art life, where you see
The
us
art life.
cleaning pallets and cleaning rags and cleaning brushes.
Yeah.
All the boring
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah,
we have
so
to do.
we might as well do a podcast while we're doing the boring shit.
Yeah, right. I know if I was set up to paint in a way that worked, I would do it, but we'll do that in the future when I get it
You
set
gotta
up.
get one of these cameras, it'll just follow you around. I'm not really set up to like I wouldn't be able to do this while we're talking unless I was off camera generally.
Right, I know.
Or-
Yeah. I just don't have I mean the quality looks about as good as mine, so but
Yeah, I don't know what it's shooting on the live stream. I think it just might be 1280. But the camera itself shoots like 4K. I was down in Venice yesterday, walking around shooting videos on the boardwalk and drum circles and people roller skating in the skate park and stuff.
shooting in 4K.
Yeah, it was. I was just looking at the footage earlier today. It was like really, really clean, even in low light. Like it got towards sunset. It was like really nice.
What's the camera called?
The Osmos Pocket 3. It's a DJI camera. It's a company that the U.S. government's trying to ban. The Chinese, like their drones, they're trying. I don't know what the update on that is, but yeah, I got one of their drones too, and it has the same sort of camera and a gimbal setup. But it's really cool because you can, trying to make more video content for social media, whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
This makes it a lot easier to do in a sense without having to set up cameras all over the place and readjust everything. Like I've just kind of discovered this like face tracking thing. I've done a few setups with it, just working on this painting here.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels a lot more interesting to watch somebody walk around their studio or do stuff as they're working on
Definitely
artwork. I don't know what your experience is on social media, but it seems just like there's a bunch of the same types of stuff, like the same crappy camera angles, the same reveal videos. Like it's focused on like technical. It's like the same sort of editing and clickbaity, hooks, and it's just nauseating to me, I think.
It's funny. I was watching last night. I was watching this Jack Conte. Is that the guy who started Patreon? It was some talk.
Oh yeah,
I think that's his name. Jack. Is that right? Jack Conte.
I wouldn't know, but I know who you're talking. I saw a video of him recently too.
The bald guy with the big beard and glasses.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
So he was doing a talk. He was basically, talking about the, Jack Conte, talking about how the current state of the internet and social media is all about, it's basically kind of what you were saying in a way, between this video and that other one I sent you about the how to succeed in YouTube without having a ton of followers.
Oh yeah.
Between these two videos, it was like, made me think, Gabe's kind of right. Because I was mentioning something about going viral in the text thread, and you were like, being viral isn't that important. And he was talking about how, the principle of, I forget, some guy that came up with this idea that all an artist needs is 1,000 true fans, and not not the huge. Everything's geared towards huge numbers of people and getting more and more people. And to do that, you have to chase the algorithm and do a bunch of shit you don't want to do. But if you can find 1,000 true fans that will support you, and if you can get them to give you like $120 a year, which is, I don't know how much, $10 a month or something. It's like, that's $100,000 a year, and
yeah, even if you don't think about it in terms of like how much anybody's giving you, 100,000 a year is a lot of money. Like, if you think about it in terms of like how much anybody's giving you, 100,000 a year is a lot of money. Like, if you think about it in terms of like how much anybody's giving you, 100,000 a year is a lot of money. Like, if you think about it in terms of like how much anybody's giving you, 100,000 a year is a lot of money. Like, if you think about it in terms of like how much anybody's giving you, 100,000 a year is a lot of money. Like, if you think about it in terms of like how much anybody's giving you, 100,000 a year is a lot of money. Like, if you think about it in terms of like how much anybody's giving you, 100,000 a year is a lot of money. Like, if you think about it in terms of like how much anybody's giving you, 100,000 a year is a lot of money. Like, if you think about it in terms of like how much anybody's giving you, 100,000 a year is a lot of money. you're talking about a strategy of trying to capture like new eyes all the time versus just engaging with this, it's the sphere of influence that you have. So the people that are interested in what you're doing and following what for whatever, if you're doing things to keep them engaged, and usually those people are the ones that like what you're normally doing. So like it seems like when you have to go out and find new audience, you either have to pay to get in front of it, which is getting increasingly more competitive
and doesn't work that well either. Unless you have a lot of money to spend, I think.
I was doing some paid advertisements before the pandemic to try to get people to my events. And that seemed to be working to get people to the events, because I was doing like live portrait demos. You could win a free painting or something. So that did work. Like, I don't know how crowded the space is for people advertising to artist advertisements. But now it seems like all that the whole game of social media seems to be more entertaining and keeping eyes on the platform, which isn't really doing you any good unless people are going to your website or going to see what you have to purchase. But the whole game is to be the most sort of attention getting video.
Right.
And so that's what I see. You see all this, just basically a version of people twirling signs,
Right.
There's a million of them, and it's just complete noise. And how do you get through without being outlandish, or just you start doing the same trends, doing those turnaround reveals, or you reveal halfway and then you don't show, and then you go into this process. Somebody's got to watch the whole video to see what you're going to turn around, and or it's just focusing on this technical feat, or look, I spent 80 hours on this eyeball painting. Like, who gives a shit? and what it ends up being is just like a bunch of really entertaining videos with mediocre art, mostly. Yeah. And I don't have time for that.
Yeah, I know.
But you still want to be visible online doing something. So most of what I'm doing now, as far as like online content, is making stuff for my own website, which I'm redesigning, and for a YouTube channel, which I think acts a little differently. It comes up in search results when people do Google searches. Videos will. If you ever looked up like how to do something, like you couldn't remember how to do something in Photoshop, and you do a search, there'll be videos pop up.
Right.
Because Google owns YouTube, and so when people are like, say they see your art somewhere, like they see it online, and they just go to Google search Chet Zar, you want them to come up with your website and your video content. And a lot of the video stuff I'm making will be, I started shooting a lot more videos of my gallery events when I'm in the gallery in front of my art and talking with collectors and stuff, in an effort to give more information to people. So I think when people are, looking for you, they're looking for more information about you, to get to know you somehow. And I think the more videos that you can produce of you kind of in your natural state and just talking about your artwork and talking about your ideas, your philosophy, or whatever it is, the more I think people might feel more connected to you. So you're speaking directly to them, or that's the information they're looking for. So that's what I'm aiming to create. But then, go ahead.
Oh, well, and also that's not going to be the big, huge masses of people. That's not for them. It's for people that are interested. So you're focusing your audience down to the people that actually matter.
The people, focusing on the people who are already interested enough to at least bother to look up for more information.
Right. Yeah. That's what this woman was saying in this video, is like, if you take this approach and you go for the smaller, more interested group of people, that having a viral video, especially if it's something that's kind of a new trend or something different that happens to go viral, it can totally screw your algorithm up. Once you're the algorithms, people are getting to know you. The same people are getting notified. The ones that come and watch your videos or podcasts are getting notified. And then when you have this one, gets all these random people coming to you, it kind of ruins your whole thing, because it also brings in a bunch of people that are not those real fans.
They're not interested. I mean, think about it. Of all the viral videos you've seen, have you taken any action on them, really? I mean, we may be the wrong generation to focus on that. Maybe people
Yeah,
like
right.
seeing viral videos and going to looking for their merchandise store. Like, where can I buy a T-shirt of this guy who,
Yeah, I definitely haven't.
whatever it was, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the thing is that the viral videos and most of social media, especially like TikTok and Instagram, they get really popular and then they just fade out, and they don't really stick around. So it's like you have to constantly be creating this viral content. And I think that's possible, but then your full-time job is creating content and analyzing your video performances. It's like people that do it consistently, that's what they do. And I don't want to spend all of my time creating content for viral stuff. Although, that's how they make their money too. They're getting paid for views and because they're keeping people on the platform.
Yeah.
But as an artist, like, I don't give a shit about keeping people on that platform. I want to get them off the platform and going to like my website or going to an event that I have or something else.
Yeah. That's exactly what this woman was saying in this video. She was also saying, like, if she has a video that went 500,000 people watched it, and it equals to be like 1 to 3 cents per person.
Yeah.
So it was like nothing. The money was so small for having a video that's really widely watched. So she's saying basically the same thing you've been saying, which is find your true fans, people that are really interested, and then get them off the platform to go to you, where you are in control of things and you can market to them and connect with them, and instead of being the slave of the social media companies and just following, because it really is a nightmare. That whole scenario, I think, is a nightmare of trying to keep up with trends and stuff.
So that leads to another important part that I've discovered, is that the importance of your website and its functionality. And as I look at artist websites, I've looked at gallery websites, and even my own website, I realized like my own website was mainly just a portfolio page that had a bunch of my images and some basic information and sizes and what kind of prints were available. But there was no option to purchase because I was sending them directly to galleries to purchase. But a lot of the websites, if you have like 2 or 3 seconds to keep people's attention, and if there isn't some sort of clear message as soon as they land with a clear direction, like something,
right,
they're just going to bounce. And so I recently, I've actually hired an agency to help me redesign my website. And one of the things we did is created a survey, and I surveyed people from my collectors group on Facebook.
Oh, really?
And on my Facebook page, just to find out, to go to my website, and then a bunch of questions about what they like or they don't like, what kind of things they'd like to see, what's important to them. And then I had this whole sort of polling information about what are the things that people want to see on the website. And one of them was like a clear distinction between originals and prints, a clear and easy way to purchase. They want to see behind the scenes content. It was like a whole list of things. So now I have all that information to go and redesign my website based on the people who are already engaged with what I'm doing. So I'm kind of designing it based on their input.
That's awesome.
And some of it was counterintuitive. Like, I had gotten rid of some of I kind of just mixed all my images up instead of putting it into collection groups, because I didn't want to pigeonhole any of the work. I wanted to have a broader look, but people, overwhelmingly said, we want to see it by collections, be able to filter by collections.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So I'm going back to do that again too.
I'm going to have to do that. Yeah, I've got mine totally randomly.
But the reason to do all this is because, like you're saying, like the algorithms for social media, they change at a whim, and And so you might do all this work to get a big following and have a system down that's engaging people and then they're like, you know what, fuck that, we want to do something else, and then you're left high and dry.
Yeah,
like they don't have any loyalty or they don't care about their users.
Dude, it's even worse because the algorithm itself can change itself. You know what I mean? They don't even know. Yeah. They don't even know what's going on.
Or what happens when the government bans TikTok or some other platform or does something, or changes
like Twitter. I remember I was telling people on Twitter, like, you better get a website because this place, in case this place goes to hell, you better have a home base. And
like, we don't need a website. We got Web3.
Yeah. And sure enough, it went to
fucking
hell.
Turds.
But the other thing she was saying in this video was, and I know we discussed this, is the very basic first thing you need is an email list. Have
I'm working on that too.
And get people's emails, because that's where you could directly contact people.
Yeah, I've been sloughing off on that for a long time because I've been dealing, all my sales have been going through galleries.
Yeah.
So I haven't been collecting email addresses. I have some from my Kickstarter and from before galleries. And when I was doing those events I was telling you about, I was sending them to an events page and collecting emails. So I'm busy going through that and going to be cleaning that up and making sure everybody still wants to be subscribed and going to be engaging them with stuff I'm doing there. But at the same time, it's like, how many emails do you get that you just ignore? Like I'm not a real big email.
I know.
I don't want to be spamming people with a bunch of garbage, so I don't think that's what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, but you got to.
But so I definitely, people who are on that list, I definitely want them to want to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. And you think about, you have to imagine. I don't know, if your favorite artist was alive right now, and they had some event going on near you, you would want to be emailed about it,
Yeah.
So
but I get email. I got 10,000 unread emails, 30,000. I don't even know. Like I don't even bother to go click on them to unsubscribe from them either.
I've tried.
And some companies are just outrageous with how many emails they send. And
I know, it's crazy.
Maybe that's because that's the way it works. I don't know. Maybe you have to be that aggressive with it.
I don't know. It's wrong. If anybody requests to be taken off mine, they get taken right off.
Yeah. So I'm working on that too.
Are you finding time to paint? I know you've been focusing on this pretty much every day since, I don't know, for the last couple of months.
I finished a few paintings for my show with Distinction. That was in October.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got plenty of paintings to sell, so I'm focusing a lot more on getting all this apparatus set up.
Yeah.
Seems like I think you go through whatever it is that you're doing, and you try to find that you focus on what works the most. But at some point, you got to turn your attention to like where you're lacking and things that are not working, and you got to figure out how to bring that up a notch.
Yep.
Because otherwise, you're being dragged down by what your whatever is the weak spot.
Right. Yeah.
And especially like in a time like this year, where like I know you experienced it, and I've experienced it. Every artist that I've talked to and every gallery, they've had a rough year this year. It's been tough.
Yep.
And so now is the time to really focus on the weak spots and start building and making those things better. I think, and I realize that, man, my internet game is just, there's things that I do, but it's not enough. Like, and I used to do time lapses. I used to get people's attention and be cool, but now everybody's got that.
I know.
It's ubiquitous. And I've realized like it doesn't really communicate enough to people. It's not like, it's like, okay, here's a painting coming together like a 5 million other ones I just saw. And maybe the painting's good, but it's so it's a real struggle because this takes time, and you want to spend your time producing the work and focusing on what you're doing. And it's really hard to do that when you got to worry about camera angles and shooting videos of every little thing.
I know.
So what I'm trying to do, I think personally, is just find a way to incorporate this video content into my normal production. So I'm not like, really have to do is kind of like set the camera up and push record, and then I'm doing things, and maybe doing like a live stream. I might start doing live streams again on a weekly basis.
Oh yeah, you should.
But even when I was doing it back a few years ago, I was doing it through YouTube and Facebook, and I had my, my DSLR camera and a nice setup, and but it was a bit of a, a thing to set up and get going, even though I did it once a week,
right?
And to like 100 views,
yeah, if that.
But now I see that like the other thing too is those live streams are always focused as a still camera on the painting right here,
yeah,
right, and so a lot of the time, as you see, I'm sitting here doing other things, and that would be off camera, and all you're looking at is a still image of a painting and me talking to myself in the background, stuttering around, right?
Yeah, this is definitely the way to do it.
So I feel like this is how I'm going to do my live streams, where I can look and I can talk right to the camera. I can see people responding to me in real time on the screen here, and then I can be over here working, and it's a lot more dynamic, and I'm hoping that will be more engaging, but also I can turn that into clips for social media. So I can take and do one thing and then turn it into content for other things.
Yeah,
and
that's smart.
Delegate those things to other people to help me with. That's another thing I'm trying to learn how to do, is to not do everything myself.
Yeah, I know. That's the worst.
Yeah, like I think we all come up with like doing everything, like that meme with the one-man band, the guy playing the drum, the guitar, harmonica. That's what it feels like a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, we're used to doing it ourselves because, for so long we couldn't afford to hire anybody.
Yeah. So, and well, it's not only whether you can afford to hire them, but finding people that are, that can do it well.
Yeah.
First of all, and the ones that can do it well, they're usually doing it for themselves and doing their own things. Like, kind of like us, like we can make paintings and sculptures and stuff like that, but we don't want to work for other people.
Yeah, right. It's true. It's true.
And so I feel like, man, nobody's going to want to do these things. Nobody that's competent anyway. But there are people out there, it's like,
oh yeah.
That's the other thing is I've been doing this. Things have been kind of coming up out of the woodwork to help support it. Like I was doing that show in Austin, and I met this guy there that bought a print from me, and he's like, I'm a YouTuber, and I'd like to help you edit your videos, and I want to work with you. And so, like, all right, so I'm working with him.
That's cool.
Do some editing on videos, and just stuff like that is like, it's weird. And then somebody's like, hey, are you going to do more live streams? I really like those. And I'm like, yeah, are you the one of the 200 people that saw it? But like you're saying is like, we get caught up in this numbers game of like, it's got to be 1 million people see it or it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But
that's not,
those 200 views are the people that you want to be engaging with. And then through them you influence, maybe they share it with their friends or something. I don't know.
That's the way,
more of a sphere of influence rather than trying to get tons of new people all the time, like the focus being that. So like my focus and what I'm doing is catering to the people that are already interested or likely to be interested in what I'm doing.
And that's those are the people you want to reward too, just like kind of on a moral level, a moralistic, ethical level. It's like you want to reward the people that are supporting you. And that's why when I went to Patreon and started, I just have the low entry point of $1. I'm like, anyone that's willing to give $1 is proving that they're actually a real
Well, it cuts
fan.
Out bots, I guess,
Cuts out what?
Bots.
Yeah, bots or trolls or whatever too. But
there is something to be said about having a sort of bar of admission. Like when you realize that the organizations that have a high bar of admission, like you might think of them like like religions that have really strict tenets that you have to do really extreme things to be part of their club. The people that are part of their club are fanatics.
Yeah, right.
And so at $1, you're going to have a lot of casual people, maybe.
I don't know what casual person is going to even pay $1 on some platform. The thing is, it's like, because it's not, the dollar is really a formality, because it's like I could cut the dollar tier off my Patreon and I would lose like $100, $150 maybe, because it's only like maybe 150 people out of there. But anyone that's casual, isn't going to start a Patreon account, put their credit card in. You know what I mean?
If you raised it to $5, though, all you would need is about 15 of those people to make the same.
Yeah. I know, that's the whole thing. But then it's like I don't want to price people out, so I have to revamp all my tiers, and because I'm also, I don't want to.
I never did figure out what to do with Patreon. I started an account there, but
you never pushed it because you didn't want to deal with it. Because it was so much work. It was like extra work. But if you're set up with this, I'm telling you, this stuff is kind of made for that.
I might revisit that idea shortly. But like I said, I don't like to be beholden to stuff. That was part of even the live stream I was doing. I was like doing it every Friday, and I don't even know why I stopped. I think I just got to be too much work, and it was hard to quantify. What it was doing for me.
But you're smart saying you're setting up to make it easy, because that's what I did with this podcast. Like, you knew me before I started the podcast. I was still constantly busy, always working, but and then Mike was dealing with everything, and then I would just do the interview and get the people. And then after he left, I was like, okay, I got to figure out a way to make this easy. And so I've got the permanent setup. I've got it to where, like I was telling you the other day, I can record, edit, and post the podcast in one day. So it's just one day a week. I can get it all done. And, that's...
Yeah, you really got to start making clips of these videos.
I know. I know. Well, that's what Scum Choir was helping me with, but we both got distracted. So
you should look into that Opus clip that I was telling you about. That they do a great job with that.
I'm definitely going to do that.
It's really set up for podcasts too. I've tried to use it for other videos, but it's really set up to make like social media clips out of podcast formats, where you have one screen and then another where somebody's doing something. Because it automatically cuts between them. Like right now, our screen, we have like a side-by-side view, but it will take and put it one above the other for you.
Yeah.
With all that stuff.
Or switch back and forth. What's it called again?
Opus clip.
Opus clip. All right. I'm going to look it up today.
And then you can take those files into Adobe Premiere and do any other editing you want to do with them too.
Yeah.
So it's weird. There's a lot of AI tools that are really handy, but they're still they're I think we have this idea that there's this promise that it's going to do all the work, and all we have to do is push a button and it comes out perfect. Yeah. And so far, I have not experienced that. It always comes out like pretty cool for just pushing a button.
Right.
But you still have to do work with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I found it good for transcribing the podcast back, now Adobe Premiere's got a transcription thing where you can transcribe it and do captions and all that stuff. It's pretty good for that.
Yeah. I've done that too. It's the thing, man. There's so many fun tools out there. There's only so much time, right?
I know.
Like, it's fun to make the paintings, but it's also kind of fun to do all the video stuff. And
yeah, I would enjoy that if that's all I had to do, or if it was like more of a relaxed pace and it's like, oh, I'm going to dive into this and really learn it. And it's creative work, it's just
a lot of it is we just have that Indiana Jones boulder chasing us down the hill.
Yeah.
If like money were no object and you didn't have deadlines, like, and when I've had more consistent, like last year when I've been working with this agency, and I did have a certain monthly guaranteed income, and what I did is I didn't necessarily get a lot more stuff done, but I had a lot more space to retool and rebuild up, and actually it was really beneficial because I figured out a lot of things in my production and clearing out my studio, getting my systems in place, organizing myself better in order to, when I come to the place to paint, I I have everything in order, and I've gotten kind of to be a stickler about that. About as you saw, cleaning my palette, taking my time mixing colors, just doing it without having to rush through things.
Right. Also, you were able to play with new techniques and stuff too. You started using the palette knife, and
I've found that I was able to dig deeper into my work. I feel like the connection to my work got stronger. I feel like the type of work that I've been making has been on. I hate to say on another level because it's such a cliche. Trying to find like new words, like new phrases, but I've evolved the way I've been working, and the meaning behind the work and the point of view has gotten much stronger. I feel the work has changed, and there's a sort of a double-edged sword when your work changes to a certain degree, because the people who liked what you were doing don't always like to see the direction you're going in. Right. They like the stuff you did before, and then I've had that happen when I went from doing fantasy artwork to doing like all the Wild West stuff. And people were like, "Well, what happened to the fantasy stuff?"
Really?
Like, well, yeah, and
yeah, because you were doing like pirates, you were doing all kinds of different stuff too.
Well, I was doing like mermaids and floating trees and fairies and stuff like that. And then I went to pirates and cowboys and all kinds of stuff, and it was like a 180-degree turn. And now I'm kind of drifting back into more of a fantasy.
It's kind of like a combination of your Western stuff and this kind of fantasy stuff.
Well, I'm kind of I'm taking all the work I've been doing in the last 20 years or so, and I'm connecting it with a world. And so this painting I'm working on here is an idea I've had. It's for my website. And it's like this city, but it's a small town in the middle of nowhere with like some tombstones in front of it. And it's called Welcome to Town. And what it sort of symbolizes is I'm capturing where all of my characters and all of the themes, they live in this world. Mm-hmm. And so there's going to be like a casino, a speakeasy, like it's kind of like my little town. I grew up in Wyoming, and there was a bar, there was a post office, there was a school, a rodeo, and some trailer houses. Yeah. And now in downtown LA, there's a train station, a bar, city hall, and a bunch of crazy shit that's going on downtown. And so imagine a downtown area, but instead of suburbs around it, it was just open prairie and nothing.
Yeah.
And now it's weird because as I've started this, it's like it starts to feel like the world we're living in this is becoming more and more relevant. I've been working on this idea for a while, but as time marches on, it seems to have more and more relevance to the sort of things that are going on around us.
Yeah.
But it's like, you might think of this as a company town. Like that little town I lived in Wyoming was everybody that lived there, they worked for the oil field companies, one of the several companies that were out there doing oil field production. And now we live in just a giant company town that's run by billionaire oligarchs now. Like like everybody here is under the thumb of the company.
Yep. You got to buy what the company's selling because they're selling everything.
There's nothing else to buy.
Yeah, except for people like us making original artwork, small time people making individual items for people to buy.
But the thing is like, I don't know if this is going to fly over because like the things that do well are typically like, the characters with shooting pistols, the girls with guns, sort of the action scenes. And now I'm creating more of a commentary on society maybe, but it's got a sense of humor. It's got a dreamlike state to it. There's going to still be action scenes and different things. Like I've got all these ideas in my head, but at the same time, I'm just drowning in trying to keep up with just organizing this online stuff I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's like, plus I'm not 20 anymore, like
I know
the horizon's getting closer. Okay. We got to be able to do stuff that we can keep doing.
I know.
As you get older, it's like, you can't just go 100 miles an hour and pull all-nighters every day.
Yep.
Like, I mean, you do, I guess. You pull all-nighters for your shows, but those days are done for me.
Yeah. Well, I do it when I have to, and then it just takes me way longer to recuperate. It really fucked me up this last show. I say that every show, but it's like it takes longer to recover every time.
Yeah.
But
no, I can't. I don't know how I used to do that.
I know.
All-nighters.
I know.
It used to, I remember in college pulling all-nighters, and at first it was kind of fun. You're staying up all night making art. And then you're walking into class and you see everybody coming in there. They got some sleep. You're like, I've been living longer than you guys. And then after about 3 or 4 days in a row and that stuff, you're just a zombie. And you're like, oh, man, this has got to end.
I know. Now I get excited.
You're doing that for several years on end.
I get excited now about going to bed early. I'm like, oh,
I know. We came home from that show the other day. We're like, oh, man, it's 8:30. It's past my bedtime. Like, I can't imagine being out past 9 o'clock at night anymore.
I know. Well,
like, who wants to do that? That sounds stupid.
Sitting in traffic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. Those days are behind me. Yeah. I hope.
Yeah, that's why once in a while I make myself try and get you to go to a show with me or something, and make myself go out, because I would never go out if I didn't make myself every so often.
I know. I was surprised you wanted to go out this time. Like,
in
fact, that was your whole thing. You're like, I got to get out of the house. I'm like, is this Chet Czar? Who am I talking to here?
Well, I wanted to support too, because it was Glenn Barr had that show, and I love his work, and Jonathan Queen, I love his work, and it turned out I didn't even realize until the very end there was a bunch of my paintings from my last show up in the small room. I didn't even realize.
Oh, where did you think they were?
I thought they just took them all down. I didn't even expect to have anything, so it was kind of like I had a little mini show there too, which was cool. People kept telling me, like, when we were standing outside, oh, great work. And I was like, what are they talking about? Because I didn't think any of my stuff was up.
Oh, yeah.
But
well, they should have some of your stuff up all the time.
Yeah, they usually do. Like that one, the Cyclops painting that got carried out that night, that got bought. Yeah. So, but the one thing that I want to mention is that during the time you had a guaranteed amount of money coming to you for this period of time, you were able to delve into your artwork, have the stronger connection to it, organize yourself. So the moral to the story is you got to have money.
No.
Or you got to have resources. I'm telling you, the thing is, it's like, cause I've had times with no money and I've had times with money, and I am very aware of what the differences are. And it's way worse when you don't have any money. You just cannot focus on, I feel like I'm killing myself when I don't have money and I'm grinding. It's so stressful. And then there's other times when you've got enough money and you don't think about money all the time when you have it, or at least when I've had it. I don't think
when you don't have money, you feel a lot more pressure. And I think when people are under pressure, they tend to spend a lot more energy in useless ways.
Yeah.
So the trick is like, I'm not really pacing myself any differently than when I had that guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a lot more pressure, and so I'm trying to solve problems, because what I'm going for is not the money. The money is a symbol of it, but what it is space. What you want is space.
Mm-hmm.
You want space physically, you want space mentally, and space emotionally.
And time,
And you can have that even if you don't have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I think the trick is to keep from panicking when you're in this pressure.
Right.
And realize that it's hard to remind yourself there's nothing to really be afraid of.
Yeah, I know.
Until there is.
Yeah.
And by the time the monster comes and visits you, you're in the middle of the fight, and that fear is gone anyways, because you're in the middle of dealing with whatever problem it is. And so when I found myself having to scramble, it's like the fear comes when we have a vision of the future.
Mm-hmm.
And when that vision of the future is dependent on a certain outcome, when that whatever it is that is going in that direction, if that's ripped out from underneath of us, all of a sudden whatever we thought about the future is vanished, and now we're in our mind about what are we going to do now, because whatever I was planning on is not going to work. If everything has changed,
Right.
And if you can find a way to focus on the thing that interests you the most within whatever pressure you're under and whatever resources you have available, that's the best you can do. And then not trying to get away from this feeling of pressure and stress, because that turns into more pressure and stress, right?
Yeah, and you're not reacting from a pure place too. You're reacting from a place of trying to escape.
Yeah, and the thing is like, so when you're trying to turn the tables, sometimes you're under so much pressure and you're running out of energy. Like, you might think of money as the energy to do something about your situation.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't have the energy to force your way out of it, to buy your way out of it, to do something, you have to sometimes do much of nothing. You have to sit there and make sure that you can breathe,
Mm-hmm.
that your arm is not going to get broken, not going to get choked or something. Like, you just kind of take inventory of what you have and what you can do with what you have, and the moment for taking action will be a matter of timing. Sometimes you'll know what you need to do,
Right?
Like when we're in a situation where we know what needs to be done, but we don't have the resources to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We have to figure out how to either get those resources or to do something as best we can in that direction with whatever resources that we have. And by resources, I mean, money, time, relationships,
Mm-hmm.
materials you have around you. And then it comes into, like, you have to think
Mm-hmm.
and come up with ideas, like, what am I not seeing? Because we tend to, like, be stuck in our own little train of thought.
Right.
And I know there's things that almost at every instant that if we just knew about it could be a game changer, like little things that you can change, little things. And the other thing is that getting out from under these situations doesn't happen quickly, especially if you don't have resources. And the other thing is, you might have a lot of resources and then get out of it, but you might make moves in the wrong direction and go down some other path it's like there's no guarantee that having a lot of money is going to be a solution.
Yeah,
to it.
you could get a bunch of money and then you could face plant and lose all your money and be in the same situation again too.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I've had it's like the mistake I've made in the past is every time I've had like pretty good chunks of money, I always would think like, oh, I made it. I'm over the hump. It's going to always be like this. And then it doesn't, it never,
no.
It's like you can't assume that's going to be that way forever. You have to always assume like it could go at any moment.
Well, the same way you can assume that, it's not going to be pressure and stress forever either,
Yeah, right. Yeah. It goes
you've
both
had those
ways.
moments of being flush with cash. You're going to have those moments again at some point.
Yeah.
The key, I think, is when it comes to that, is like learning how to manage your success. Like, whatever success you're getting, learning how to manage it in a way that it doesn't just all wash out with the tide when the tide goes out. So setting yourself up by, like, so like when I got get flush with cash, one thing I did is I just spent a lot of money building up inventory, making prints, stacking it. Because if anything happened, like, if supply chains get screwed up and you can't get your materials, you can't make any more new stuff, you don't have anything to sell. Like, even if you're broke in the bank, if you have lots of art to sell, you still have inventory.
Yeah, that's like money in the bank.
It's something that you can do something with. You can trade it for stuff. You can sell it for whatever you can get out of it. Like, so having inventory is saved my ass a number. When I did that trade show in New York, I came back broke. I had literally $12 to my name. I had to carry shit on the airplane to get it home. and go down to the boardwalk and sell it the next weekend. But I had stuff to sell.
Yeah, right.
If I'd come back broke and I had nothing to sell, I would have been really up shit creek with a turd for a paddle.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing story. I can't imagine having.
Yeah. So,
how do you get back on the plane carrying all that stuff?
Well, I had it rolled up in tubes.
Yeah, but I mean, just
like,
mentally, it must have been so depressing.
Well, the most depressing part was after the second day, and I had zeroed 2 days in a row. And remember, I had never zeroed on the boardwalk. I'd always at least made something.
Mm-hmm.
There was one day that I went down there, and it was so windy by 10:30, everybody had to leave. But that was the only time I never made $1 down there.
Right.
And to zero at a New York trade show for 2 days
after you borrowed money to get out there and all that stuff.
$12,000 to be there, like it was more than depressing. It was like I was like out of my mind. I was just walking around aimlessly through New York, like I don't know, what am I doing? What's going on? I was like, how could this be tanking so hard?
I wonder if that was. I wonder if Mercury retrograde was happening during that period.
I don't think Mercury retrograde. I don't think it would have helped me to not be in retrograde. I don't know what it was. So when you find yourself in those situations, I learned a lot from that. Mm-hmm. I learned because I was trying to find gallery representation. I was trying to find deals, and I understood. I saw what was working. I saw artists that were doing things that were working, and a lot of it was gimmicky stuff. But I got out of my head by this. Like, I don't want to do gimmicky stuff. But what I saw is they were consistent. They had a theme. There was a program they were doing. It was presented well. Like all the things that I was lacking. They had canvas prints figured out. They had a bunch of stuff figured out. And I realized the difference between selling to the general public and then selling to galleries who are going to resell your artwork. Like they needed to have a one page with an explanation of what you're doing, or had to be so readily apparent that it didn't need explanation. And I didn't even have my outlaw stuff at this time. I had all fantasy stuff and just weird, just a whole bunch of different stuff. And it was good art. And there were people that saw it and they saw that there was something there, but they didn't know what to do with it for their stores. So,
right. You didn't know how to sell it to them.
But then 4 years later, I was buying a sports car.
So how did you come out of that then? So for people who haven't heard this story, it's in one of the podcasts we've done together. Yeah. Gabe he borrowed money, got all this money together, $12,000 to go out to New York for a trade show to try and get
the art expo. Yep.
And sold zero, came back with $12 in his pocket. So how did you come out of that?
So I got back and I called up everybody I owed money, like credit cards and stuff, and I said, I can't pay you. Let's work something out. My phone got shut off. I had to call them up and, pay them a little bit. So the first thing I did is I just went down to the boardwalk and started selling some art. And my rent was coming due. So the studio I had to go to the landlord and say, that check I wrote you, I need to borrow some money to cover that check. And they lent me money to cover the check I wrote them. And then I went to the boardwalk. I made some money and I paid them back.
Wow.
I kept my cell phone company strung along. They would shut it off and I would pay them and they'd turn it back on. And slowly I refused to borrow more money. My parents offered to help me out, but I'd already borrowed money from them to do this. I'm like, you can't get out of a hole by digging more hole.
Uh-huh.
That was my thinking. And so I slowly climbed out of it. And
just by mainly selling at the
boardwalk, just going down there. I had this vision before I went to the trade show of me flying out of the like a jet taking off, and then just looking at the boardwalk on bye the suckers. And then that next weekend, I was just there, hat in hand.
You needed to be humbled.
Yeah, like you say, God has a sense of humor. Well, he had a good laugh on my part. Dick.
That's great. So, but in those 4 years to where you went from zero to having a sports car, what changed at that point? That's pretty amazing. I didn't realize that in such a short time.
I finally figured out how to make canvas prints work. I had started doing that I'd bought bigger and bigger printers to make bigger prints. and I couldn't get the canvas prints to look right, so I'd have to touch them up and work on them. And then I was trying to sell them at the boardwalk, and then I have to explain they're not originals, but people are like, well, what is it? And so it was just confusing, and so I just kind of set it to the side. And I had another artist friend of mine who he loved to go to the Indian casinos and gamble, and mostly he would lose all of his money. But one time he had like a $50,000 jackpot, and with the last $5,000 that he had out of that, he bought a big printer, and he started printing his paintings on big canvases. And he went out on an A-frame, like they're like flags in the wind, and he started selling for $300 or $400 a piece. And he sold several of them in one day. I'm like, those do sell. I got to refigure this out. So I went back to figuring out how to make the color output work. I had to learn about color management, ICC profiles, and all kinds of technical stuff that I didn't know, and I had to educate myself about it. Got it to work, and then I started making stretcher bars and stretched them around, and then I started I priced them as low as I could, thought that I could, and still make some money.
Mm-hmm.
And I started selling them out, and it doubled my income overnight at the boardwalk. At every show I went to, after about 3 or 4 months, I realized this wasn't a fluke. This one change doubled my income.
Wow. That's amazing.
And all of a sudden, I paid all my bills. I didn't have, I could write pay for my bills. I didn't have to think about it. And that changed my life.
Wow.
And then I could go and start doing festivals in farther away locations because I would make more money. Like when you start traveling,
mm-hmm.
you have to make a certain amount of money for it to be worth the time and expense to go. So like, if I have to travel for 2 days, I want to have 2 or 3 shows lined up.
Right.
But each one of them has to make a certain amount. Otherwise, I'm losing money.
Yeah.
But when I started averaging what I was averaging at the time, I was like, all of a sudden I could go farther away with a van full of artwork and make it work.
Yeah, you had an amazing setup in that van.
It was.
You had built all those shelves, and you had it down.
Yeah, by the end of it, I had one of those huge ass Sprinter vans.
I know. It's crazy.
And I gave all that up to get into galleries. I don't know if that was that was.
That's a hard
financially.
Life,
it wasn't. I did better selling out of a tent than I ever have out of galleries.
Yeah, but you were working your ass off.
But I have a lot more space and time, and my health is a lot better by not having to be on the road all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I had kept going in that direction and I didn't get in control of my health, I probably would have had a heart attack anyway. I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So that goes back to my point. Like money isn't always the most important aspect of what you're doing. And not having enough of it can make you miserable for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing I find is like, aside from the stress, I've been pretty good at managing my stress when I have times like that, and sort of trusting the universe or whatever. But the one thing that kind of drives me nuts is the frustration. I feel so frustrated because I feel like I know that this can work. I know that this can work on a higher level. Like I know I could be earning more. I have people that like my work. I really believe in the work. And I just feel like it's just a matter of tweaking some things. Just like we were talking about in the ride home the other night. It's like, I feel like someone out there, could make a ton of money for themselves or make a ton of money for me if they came and said, you know what, I'm going to manage your art career and do all this organizational, managerial, agent type work. Because I think
that, but it ain't. But that's not the way it happens.
They're never gonna have. It's not gonna happen because that person either doesn't exist or
that person is you.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately,
That's the thing.
And then once you get things to work, people come out of the woodwork wanting to eat off your plate.
Yeah,
People see lots of money. They don't want to put in the work to make money for themselves. They want to come in while you're at the finish line and celebrate with you, and then help themselves to some of that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of, it sounds like a derogatory way of putting it, but at that point, about how everything in your business works, and how to delegate that to because then you can use those kind of people to delegate stuff to, and then leverage your time and do bigger things. But nobody's going to come in and see it because first of all, you wouldn't allow it because they're going to want to do things you wouldn't want to do.
Yeah.
The things to make money are probably the things that you are avoiding,
Yeah.
because, it's against your ethics, or, it's against, it's like doing paintings you don't want to do, or, that's usually what happens. They come in, they do a bunch of stuff like that, and then you end up working for them in a sense. Like all the things that you're doing are to make money.
Right.
And when you start doing things with the outcome in mind of making money, in my experience, it never works. First of all, it doesn't necessarily turn into more money. And the problem is that you find yourself doing things you don't like to make money, and then it's not making money, and then you're doing things you don't like and you're not making money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it works, but you don't like doing it, or the pace of the work is so outrageous that you can't sustain it.
Right.
So, like, what I'm aiming to do is to do the things at the pace that I can do them, at the way I enjoy doing it. And I'm trying not to worry about the money. I mean by trying, because it's hard not to worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
We all worry about it. But when I disappear the idea of the future out of my head, because I have no idea what's going to happen now. Like, everything is kind of nutty right now. We live in a clown world.
Yeah.
Evidently. I've stopped watching the news. I've stopped watching TV. I realize that social media and all that is mainly, we're all just brainwashing ourselves with whatever form of horseshit we want to think.
Yeah.
And I've found myself having at least more mental peace recently by not getting all up about all the stuff I've been, force feeding myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was thinking about that today. How, so many people have this idea in their head that if the right person could get into power, everything will be fine. And that is that's a delusion, because anything could happen at any time. Anything could happen. You could drop dead
even if
tomorrow.
It was fine, it would only be fine for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. And it's like so much of our lives is spent not, considering that we're going to die, that everyone we know is going to be dead, that you have really no control over anything that happens. It's like it's
pretty much.
And really the best way to live is, it's again, and another cliche, it's, in the moment, being in the moment. You're here right now.
Where else would we be?
There is nothing else. That's the funny thing, is there is nothing else other than the moment. Everything else is a delusion. That's all you'll ever have, is right this moment. It's just kind of hilarious.
That actually could be a good message, because it means everything you need is right here and now.
Yeah, right. Yep.
But then we're all looking around like, where is it?
Yeah. Tell it to my creditors. I'll call them up. Everything you need is
Hello,
right
Citibank. Everything you need is right here and now.
That doesn't fly with them, because they're in their own delusion.
Maybe they need to learn how to take a joke.
Yeah. So now we're faced with it, with having to realize that. So that's maybe a good thing.
Yeah, because when you think about it, like, all the times we go through life worrying about shit.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in my bed worrying 5 years ago, laying here just stressed out about what was, and now I don't even know what I was stressed out about, but I remember being stressed out, and somehow I made it.
Yes. Yeah, I relate it to back when I was a kid. Every year, at the end of the school year, I'd be like all worried about the next grade, because it would be new classes, new people. Every year I worried. I was like, oh man, I'm so stressed about this. I don't want to go in this uncomfortable situation. And then every time it was fine. And by the end of the year, everything was cool. But I did that every single year. I was always worried about it. And it's like, I could have had the same experience without any of the worrying.
Yeah, in a sense, ignorance is bliss, isn't it?
Yeah.
I look at my cats and they're never worried about shit.
Yeah,
they
right.
Should be.
That's like after, the day after the election, I went out and took a walk, and I was like, I told, I don't know, I think I told you guys or Josh or somebody. I just saw a squirrel and a bunch of wild parrots, and none of them gave a shit who was president. They're just living their life.
That's because they don't watch the news.
Yeah. So what are you working on right now? What is this? Oh, this is the town?
This is that welcome. Yeah, this is that welcome to town painting. I'm just kind of blocking in shapes. Like, this is the part that's kind of fun because nothing really matters.
Yeah. So you're just using straight oil with a palette knife. No medium?
Yeah, and then I have this.
No drying medium?
Nope. And I use this brayer to thin, push it a little bit farther. So I'm just really super thin layers. I also mixed in titanium white with my white mixture, and that tends to make the paint dry quicker and have more flexibility.
You mean lead white?
No, I mean lead white.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good dryer.
So I mixed lead white in with the titanium white.
Cool. You've been enjoying that lead white? It's a trip, right?
Yeah, I like it. It's
such
it doesn't influence the color a lot. So
I know.
You can mix it. So I've been trying to get away from painting. That's the other thing I did during all this time is I reevaluated how I'm working, and so I'm using better materials.
Yeah.
Like this canvas is like a super expensive Belgian linen. It's like $1,000 a roll for it.
Yeah. Is this? Did you make that one yourself from that canvas that you bought? That linen?
Yeah, so I stretched this myself. Like,
nice. What's the size of it?
This is 32 by 72.
Damn, that's crazy. I've never made a painting that big.
You should.
I know. Yeah. It
gets you into thinking differently about what it's like.
Believe me, I would prefer to. It just doesn't. It's like they take longer to sell. I have to wait until I'm in a situation where I'm not so desperate to make money.
You should be making enough money off your prints that you don't have to sell your originals.
Yeah, well, that's not happening either.
It used to be the way I did things.
Yeah. Well,
in fact, I make most of my money off of selling reproductions and prints.
Yeah, I make most. Yeah, no, I make most of my money from selling from my website. It's true, but
and when you spend time on making these bigger, more elaborate paintings, they become better print sellers anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I did some big ones. I did some big ones for the show, but
yeah, that skull piece was huge.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that one. I was like,
every time I see a
big Cesar painting, I'm like, those are rare actually. Those should,
I know. That was right behind me. I made it on this little easel. It was like the biggest it can possibly be. It was 36 by 48. But yeah, I got the 4x6 frame waiting for me. This cool old Gothic frame that my framer has. So I should be doing that on the side maybe. But I got all kinds of stuff. I got to set that 3D printer up. I still haven't opened that 3D printer. It's been like 2 years.
Forgot to push record on my time lapse.
Well, you could use this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate when that. I did that yesterday when I was working on. It's like, oh, I guess I'm not going to time lapse that one. You're still early enough, though. You caught it early enough. That's what you get for talking while you work.
Yeah, I guess so.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. Like, I forgot on this phone that I have set up to do my time lapse, I forgot to time lapse this first part too. So
yeah. But again, people don't care if you haven't started to that point. They'll be fine. It'll still make for a good time lapse.
I don't know. It's not going to go viral now.
You could fake it. You could do a first layer up to that point on some other canvas.
I got another canvas over there that's a little smaller that I don't.
Yeah.
Some shit you just got to let go.
Yep. Well.
Like, it's kind of the way I would rather work anyways, just not having to worry about doing all these records. Like, you get what you get, and the rest of it, I don't know.
Do your best.
Yep.
That's it.
I haven't found that a lack of a time lapse has been a deal killer for me yet.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Especially like the first 5 seconds of the time lapse, anyways, or the first few.
Yeah, I forget the beginnings of mine all the time. Doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah, I've been having more fun just sitting here bullshitting with you and just mixing paint and just. You got to get one of these cameras, man.
Oh, I know. I want to get one for sure. Yeah, I could see the value in it.
Yeah.
Maybe after Christmas, if I do well this year.
Maybe after Christmas 2027.
Yeah. If we're alive.
We'll be something will be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's a good time to end it.
All right, then.
That was a great conversation about life and living in the
Yeah, it's a little bit different than I felt. It feels different than our regular podcast discussions.
It must be.
It's almost like we're not on a podcast.
I know. I totally forget about that we're even recording. But it's the new Art Life segment. It's a new Art Life segment. You got the moving camera. So everybody, let us know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how distracting that is when you post it.
It's going to keep people more interested. I bet you it's going to get more views. We'll see. So everybody listening, let us know in the comments what you think of Gabe's new AI tracking camera.
Yeah, I expect to be doing some live streams with this setup too.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Point.
Yeah. Well, let me know when you post them, and I'll share them to the Dark Arts side of YouTube.
All right,
page.
Will do.
Well, thanks for chatting and
it's a good time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening.